Here's a question for you. What if a major social media platform, one used by over 1 billion people, looked at the entire industry moving towards stronger encryption and said, nope, not for us? Well, that's exactly what TikTok just did. So while WhatsApp, iMessage, Signal, Facebook Messenger, and Google Messages have end-to-end encryption for direct messages, and even Instagram is actually in the process of also rolling it out, TikTok has officially and publicly confirmed that it will not implement end-to-end encryption for direct messages. And the reason? They say it will make users less safe. Now, that's a pretty bold claim. Is it principled? Is it political? Is it convenient cover for something else going on entirely? Well, in today's episode, we're getting to all of that. So the safety argument, the privacy counter argument, and maybe even the geopolitical dimension, and what this means for more than 1 billion people who use TikTok. And joining me for this conversation is pretty much, I think, a non-TikTok user, is co-host Scott Wright.
I have never downloaded the TikTok app.
You know, I haven't either. And I'm actually very grateful that I haven't. I'll just leave it.
It's kind of like me being colorblind. You know, I don't get those special glasses where you can see the colors because I'm just afraid if I see them, then I'll just know what I'm missing. So right now, I don't know what I'm missing with TikTok.
Yeah, and you're not missing much, right? So exactly. But before we get into that, just some housekeeping around the podcast, in that I have recently discontinued our Patreon, and I have moved us over to YouTube memberships. I did not move us to Google, even though YouTube is a Google product.
Gonna say, what's the difference?
Yeah, there really is no difference. So Google, whatever, right? So YouTube has 2 membership tiers that are now available. So we have both the community member and the supporter level. So for $1.99 a month, which is even cheaper than a cup of coffee these days, because we know coffee is ridiculously expensive.
Not in Canada.
Well,
we don't have tariffs.
That's true. You don't have tariffs. So at least in the United States, coffee is more expensive. But it might be cheaper in Canada. But for $1.99 a month, you get priority reply to comments, early access to new episodes, and a bunch of other exclusive things. And then our supporter tier is $5.99, and you get members-only videos and content and a discount code to our store for merch. So check that out if you would like to support the podcast. I know we had several Patreons that were helping support the show for several years, but I just decided to
just fire them.
Well, I didn't fire the supporters, Scott, but I really appreciate the supporters, but I fired the platform because I don't know. It's interesting to me that like Patreon still continues to stay in business. I just found the platform really, really hard to promote, and there just wasn't a lot of value for our members. So we're going to try out YouTube membership and see how that goes.
Cool.
So now let's get into TikTok. So this is just kind of shocking to me, to be honest, because all the other social media apps have moved to end-to-end encryption we've talked about this for years, Scott. Like, this is a good thing. And most people would agree that, yes, encrypting direct messages end-to-end is a good idea for user privacy. Well, TikTok has said, no, we're not going to do that. And it appears to be another one of those things of, well, we have to protect the children, Scott. And the only way to do that is to allow the government and the police access to direct messages. What do you think of that, Scott?
Well, I guess it depends. First of all, we're talking about all TikTok, or like there's the segment of TikTok that's, I think, segregated and used or owned in North America. And then there's the global Chinese-owned version, right? This is
all
everybody?
TikTok.
Okay, right.
Yes, even the new TikTok USDS LLC.
Right. So, I mean, who could this possibly benefit to do this?
I'll tell you, Scott, it will benefit the Chinese government, number one, that still owns, part of 20% of TikTok. In the U.S. now owns, of course, nothing has changed globally. Right. I think it will benefit them, and it'll also benefit local governments, like in the U.K. And this is specifically, this article is talking about how the U.K. was kind of influencing TikTok in this. So I mean, I guess my short observation is,
for China, they don't really have to justify it. They just do what they want, right? So,
Oh yeah, 100%.
so it's not a big surprise, that they aren't going along with all the others. But it's convenient that, in the U.S., governments can kind of spin this as, oh, it's safety protecting the children, right? So.
It's always about protecting the children. Yeah. But we all know how that goes.
And who are the biggest users of TikTok?
Right. Well, then that's another controversial discussion too, because we all know that kids under 16, let's just take as an example, are all using TikTok, where they have age restrictions around using social media sites. And nowadays there's more age verification
Yes.
initiatives that are happening. So yeah, frankly, it is getting harder for kids to use social media. I mean, look at Australia. They banned it entirely for teenagers, and they put age verification gates up for everything.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on where you're at in the world. But I think the big message, at least to our listeners, is like, I would not recommend sending anything sensitive over a TikTok direct message. I just wouldn't use TikTok for any sensitive conversation anyway.
I've sort of was thinking, after you sent me the notes, I was thinking, like, what kinds of use cases or scenarios could be interesting to talk about? And I think there are at least three, right? So one of them is the breach scenario. If the site gets breached and all these messages in the clear, it's not just metadata about messages, it's all messages, right? So you could be exposing, people's chats about, abuse at home, or activists, in authoritarian countries, or, relationship struggles or whatever that were never meant to be public could become public. And it's a little bit like the Ashley Madison kind of thing, where it could be very stressful and, certainly consequential. And then there's another sort of valid legal request scenario, like they did say, well, they're going to protect it all except if there are legal requests. Well, who defines what those requests are? And in every country, there could be different sense of, what an acceptable reason is for accessing those things. And so you could see, in oppressive countries, journalists, being forced to identify their sources, or not forced, but just by using it, they're revealing the sources, right? So that could be another one. And finally, the authorized employees. They talked about authorized employees are the only ones who should have access. But imagine an employee disgruntled, or having an agenda, takes the content of these things and sells them, or uses them for blackmail or whatever, right? So there's a lot of ways this could go very wrong.
Yeah, and we've never seen any problems with any of those things in the past, right, Scott? I mean, you remember the Amazon Echo? Amazon was hiring people to, oversee what you were telling to your Amazon Echo, and then trying to, quote unquote, improve the service. And so they had to listen to everybody's, things that they were saying to their Echo. And they found all this stuff that was leaking to these different sites, because some of this stuff was, very embarrassing and personal and private. And I could see the same thing happening because they have internal people that help support their user base. And now that this is unencrypted, like, who's to stop them from accessing private messages?
Was it ever encrypted? Like, I didn't even know TikTok had a messaging service, but
no, I mean, they use standard, HTTPS, right?
Right.
But that's only transport layer encryption, not, end-to-end encryption, where
it's not really a new thing, but the fact that it's definitive now, they're not planning to make it end-to-end encryption is really the story.
Yeah, that's really the story. And they are literally the one and only of the largest social networks that are not doing that, which is kind of shocking. Because even now, Instagram also does not have that yet, but they have said publicly that they are in the process of implementing that for their users. And I'm not surprised to hear that, because Facebook Messenger has had that, WhatsApp has had that for a long time. And, Instagram was the last one of the Meta products.
Yeah.
But even they are smart enough to know that you should probably do this for your users.
It'll be interesting to see if it affects, the usage of it, if people start to realize those risks.
I think TikTok in the US in general has been declining since the change in ownership. And we'll link here. You can click the little linky up top for that episode where we talk more about what happened with that whole thing, and also the kind of the misinformation around what's being spread about the privacy policy and how things really didn't change with the privacy policy, but they did add some things that started freaking some people out. And so I think that alone, just that misinformation, but also just the bad press that I think that whole move has gotten. I'm seeing more people still posting, like, I'm pretty active on Blue Sky, and people are always posting about like, yep, just deleted my TikTok account. It's not the same anymore. They changed the algorithm. A lot of creators are finding that nobody is seeing their videos anymore, and it's just a totally different app now. So I think now with this news of the end-to-end encryption not being available, I think that's going to just really turn a lot of people off.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting.
Yep. Yeah. Always is.
Yeah.
Always is. So, well, we'll keep this episode kind of short and sweet. But
actually, I could make a brief announcement. You made a little announcement about the
Please.
Patreon guys, but
yeah.
So you may notice I don't have my ClickArmor background. So I just wanted to let people know I'm not with ClickArmor anymore. So we've moved ClickArmor's customers and the content to a platform called Cybersecurity, also Canadian. So probably the leading security awareness training provider in Canada. So really happy about that. They're an awesome team. So if people are thinking about security awareness and we're thinking about going to ClickArmor, I would recommend going to Boceron. But in the meantime, I'm going to go back to consulting and what I like to do in terms of helping people become more secure. We're doing lots of different fun things. Of course, I don't like to do the traditional things, so I start to do wacky things. So I'll be announcing a little bit more maybe as in future episodes of things that I'm doing, and maybe Tom will let me do a plug for some of the things that I'm doing once in a while.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Scott. And what is the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to connect with you?
LinkedIn is the best. It's just LinkedIn/in/Scott Wright, I think is my address, but you'll find me if you do a search for Scott Wright security or security awareness or stuff like that. So yeah, I'd love to have people connect because I'm going to be doing a few things that I think are important. One of them certainly is continuing to do the things that I have the greatest capability of doing in terms of cyber, but also want to help people doing networking, business networking, to build their skills, and cyber people in particular. I'm finding a lot of people are not that comfortable, using LinkedIn to its fullest in order to improve their careers. So I'm hoping to do a bit of that, and also helping startup founders, because I just went through that journey for the last 7-8 years. And there's a lot of lessons learned and things I'd like to help people do with that. So a few different projects going on.
That's great. Yeah. And we will, in the show notes, we'll link to Scott's profile page on LinkedIn so you can connect with Scott if you like to have a chat about his, let's say, new venture, but we'll call it like a new old adventure or venture,
just
something.
My new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Bringing back the old with a new spin, right? How about
exactly.
that? That's awesome.
Don't know if I'll be doing the honey stick project anytime soon.
Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
Maybe we'll find something new that way.
You should AI enable your honey stick projects.
Exactly. Yeah. An AI stick. What would that do?
AI stick. Yeah. I don't know what that. Yeah. I'm having some bad visuals. So maybe that's a good time to end the podcast. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening. And until next time, stay safe, stay secure, and stay private. Thank you for listening or watching. If you liked this episode, hit subscribe, share it with your friends and colleagues, or jump into our community at sharedsecurity.net/supporter to keep the conversation going. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Shared Security.